But remember, we are asking what your expectations are this Madaraka Day, being the 56th Madaraka Day celebrations. Our team is following up on the celebrations in Narok County. Patrick Amimo and Murimi Mwangi, and of course we'll be linking up with them later on in the program. Some of your feedback that I see here, Justice Kishoyan saying, as the citizens of Narok, we have already enjoyed the fruits of the 56th Madaraka Day. The town has a new look and business has also improved. We expect the president to talk about corruption, Narok being one of the affected counties. And there's one here that Sai wanted to talk about from Real Shadrach. He says, I expect some politicking, empty promises and fake achievements. Sad state of affairs. Empty promises. Just comment on this, but also tie in the issue of unemployment, especially among the youth.
So in terms of empty promises, like I said initially, if you have 1 million young people joining the job market every year, and you can only provide for about 100,000 of them, that means that almost 900,000 young people every year will be joining the market that does not exist. So that's serious in many ways. It's serious in one way. It becomes a security issue. Secondly, it becomes a social issue. And thirdly, it becomes an economic issue because they will depend on other people. And see, that's why, like Nairobi has 60% slums. Kisumu now has 70% slums. So as we even grow as a country, if we are growing more people into the slums than we are growing in the formal areas, even if we had houses for them, for example, a very hypothetical question, where will they get money to pay? So you see, you're trying to create housing for people, and the other agenda, which is manufacturing, is not growing commensurately. So you have to create manufacturing to grow at the same pace with housing, because these people that you're creating jobs for are supposed to live in those houses and pay for them. However, if that does not happen, then even if you put up 1 million houses today, every month, who will stay in those houses? You see, that is the challenge. The issue of empty promises. The reason why Kenyans feel like they're empty promises is because the speeches that are given do not translate into tangible outcomes that they can see. Because if a young person is living, and the statistics that there's a conference that was going on at the UN, which ends today, which was saying that the employability of young Kenyans today is being delayed to 30 years. So it's only by the time someone is 30 that they are almost getting something meaningful to do. Now what that means is that even those who want to start life will start life after 30. Those who want to start saving, they will start saving after 30. Those who want to start families will start families after 30. So everything will be after 30. And the translation of that is that in future, we are going to have people retiring not having made much. And because you also started working late, you are in a hurry to even want to steal because you want to compensate life. So even when you start working at 30, it also means that the people who invested in you, some parents have sold property, some of them have sold land. So by the time you're done with school, your parents are beggars. And by the time they are beggars, they need to expect that you support them. But by the time you're out of school at around the age of 23 or 24, you still don't have something for the next 6 years. So you have rendered your family poor and also rendered yourself poor. And by the time you're starting life, almost everything is catch up. So that's the picture of how it looks like. And that is the unfortunate situation of why Kenyans are saying they do not understand if there are any promises that are being given that are tangible. So what do we need to do? Probably we'll need to get to a point and speak about that.
I should.
Okay. So there are certain, the Big Four agenda was a beautiful idea, which was supposed to spur the growth of the economy. However, one of the things, for example, we just saw the Minister for Transport talking about cargo transported, talking about the number of people transported. It's not about the numbers. Yes, it's good to have the numbers, but you see, the minister needs to be telling us how, for example, it has become cheaper to transport via rail than via the road. One of the things that I refuse to understand is when he says that he cannot quantify some things. And this is how you quantify. If you're talking about tourism, and you're saying that tourism cannot be quantified, tell us, because these figures are there, tell us that X number of tourists used the SGR. And instead of doing X, they did X. And that's how much it translates into. Secondly, tell us that, for example, you removed cargo from Mombasa to Nairobi, and the same cargo, instead of taking 10 days, it took 5 days. And when it was taking 10 days, it used to cost X amount of money, but now it's taking 5 days, it's costing X amount of money. That you can quantify. When you say it has improved the cost of doing business, that you can quantify and say business people are able to save X amount of money because of what I have said, just the transport reduction in terms of cost and time. We saw the other day the president going to inspect the cargo center. What was the president going to do there? It's because people transported their cargo to Nairobi and they can't have the cargo released. So that means, how do you convince me that it makes more economic sense to have moved it from Mombasa to Nairobi and then you can't even clear it? That's a contradiction in itself. So we are not creating the jobs we are talking about creating, because we create one avenue and then create bottlenecks in the process. At the end of the day, we do not see that translate into the outcomes that are supposed to create jobs. You see, efficiency in any system is what is supposed to open ways. For example, if a businessman makes 100 million shillings more than they used to make, then chances are that one thing will happen is that they'll expand their business. When they expand their business, they will employ more people. And chances are that those people will be young people. When they employ more people, it means it's because they have more disposable income, they employ more people, they expand their business. If not expanding, they'll make their business more efficient. And by doing that, you have a network that is increasing, and therefore more people are being employed. And when that happens, you reduce on the numbers we talked about, which is when 1 million Kenyans are leaving school, you have more than 100,000 being employed, and therefore you reduce the gap of unemployment. It's sad that we have an economy that doesn't seem to grow, but at the same time, we are saying that the economy is growing. For example, we are still a country, as we talk about, if you can talk about food security, we're still a country that is dependent on rain-fed agriculture. And as we depend on rain-fed agriculture, we still are not able to give our farmers farm input in time. And then next year, when we are doing, at the end of the year, when we will be seeing harvests come out, we will be expecting a lot of miracles out of what we have not had input in. Because you see, farmers did not get fertilizer that is affordable. They didn't get it in time. And then we expect that these farmers will give us food as a country. And then next year, we'll start talking about importing food again. So we put ourselves in this vicious cycle where we never get out of. The people who have been given the responsibility of ensuring that they manage these sectors keep telling us things that are very basic. You know, they keep telling us, we even know more than they should be telling us. So you're telling us how you're going to fix the agriculture sector, for example. You can use that as an example. But at the same time, the Gulana Lalu project has failed. That
is what I wanted to say.
Yes.
You reminded me of that project.
So you're telling us food security, but at the same time, the Gulana Lalu project has failed, and that was supposed to give, like, to almost stabilize the production of food, because we are unable to depend entirely on rain-fed agriculture. Because also, like I said, rain-fed agriculture is with global warming, we have destroyed our forests, our seasons have shifted. You know, the rainy season for the grain basket of this country used to be around March, actually end of February. It has been shifting. Now it's almost May. So that means that as we continue doing that, two things must happen. Either we switch to other products, other crops, or we change to growing our food by irrigation. And as we think about doing that, we think about dams. But as we do the dams, we ensure that the money disappears. So we keep having solutions which we ensure they don't work at the end of the day.
And for tiles and towels, and
yes, so, and then of course someone was defending that and saying, for us, as long as we've paid as a contractor, it's not in our responsibility to go monitor what the, I mean, really, it just doesn't augur very well to people out there. So there's someone who actually one time said that, it was an American who said, we have a problem as a country solving very basic problems. And you see, I keep saying that as long as you have families out there that are starving, what will happen are several things. One is that if a child is hungry, if they go to school, they will not learn. So we are not giving that child an opportunity to actually become someone in the future.
And the school that they're going to in some places just
they are sitting on a stone.
Tree.
Yes, they're going to sit on a stone.
Yeah.
A child is standing on a stone because water is flooded in the room and they have to learn. Second, when you do that, when a child has not eaten or they've not had enough food, any small ailment takes them out. That means that we are losing so many children out of the fact that bare basic fact that they lack food. When a human body lacks food, it becomes susceptible to many ailments. So there are many implications of very basic things like lack of food. But having said that, I guess there are also things that we don't seriously think about. Universal healthcare, for example, we need to focus more on the basic healthcare instead of treating basic things and preventing them from going into referrals. We have prioritized taking equipment to hospitals without having to prioritize dealing with the basic ailments so that people don't have to be referred.
Sure, and we'll be talking more about that, but we need to take another break, sir. Remember, we are asking your expectations today. Now, most of you saying, actually one here, Korir Len is saying, good morning, in Kenya there is no expectation at all. They speak, they make false promises and ask the voters, we can't reap anything at all. Frank Mtetezi says, as a Kenyan, I expect nothing more than politicking and some lamenting on how their fathers aren't known. Frank Magoba, Morning Grace, less politics, fewer promises and more actions besides paperwork. Wow, I hope we can have that, can we?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Now we need to take a short break. We're back with the conversation. Remember, our team, Patrick Amimo and Murimi Mwangi, our senior political reporters there, are at Narok County, county number 33, of course, in regard to the 56th Madaraka Day celebrations, and we'll be linking up with them later on in the program. Do stay with us. We're back after this short break.